Hi, guys. We wanted to have a fun training for you guys right away this week to start you strong. And last week, we talked about how we were being held up a little bit by objections, and a lot of you guys felt that some objections came up a lot more frequently than others, and you all could relate on a lot of different levels as to why people might be saying no when you reach out to them. And so me and Kaylee have got a list ready of all the different reasons you provided to us that people feel are, obstacles for them in joining their journey with you, either as a challenger or as a coach. So we're going to fly through a few of them and hopefully equip you guys for a strong week 2. And you're going to be fearless in your invite process this week, and it's going to be great. So the first one, money. People not affording it. People saying they don't have the money or they can't budget for it. Kaylee, what do you have to say to start off about this problem?
So much. I have a lot. All right. Well, first off, this is a common one that you guys hear, but it's also a common one that Liz and I hear too. And the one thing that we can't do, obviously, is give them money to start this, because I'm sure if we could, then we would do that for everybody. But I think that it's so important just to keep in mind that when you're talking to, I'm going to call them a prospect, when you're talking to somebody, you have them for that short period of time. So what you say is so important. So one thing that I want to steer you away from is kind of just brushing it off because you feel like you can't help them, because in reality, you can help them. One thing that I have taken upon myself to do, and it's not for everybody, it's okay if it's not, but one thing that has really helped me is helping them just kind of create a plan for themselves to be able to save some money. So maybe seeing if they can let you into that area of their finances. What can you put away when you get paid? How frequently do you get paid? And come up with this together and know how many weeks it's going to take before they can say yes to joining you. This is something I swear by because it builds a relationship along the way. So it's not just about, getting them to purchase a challenge pack or even getting them to join you. You really do get to build such a cool relationship for at least a couple of weeks. So when they're ready to start, you know that A, they're not going to go to anybody else. They're going to go to you because you helped them. And B, they know how genuine you really are because you've stuck by them when they had nothing. So that is my biggest piece of advice and my biggest tip. That's something that I do. It's worked really well for me in the past. I've done this with maybe 2 or 3 women, and each of those women have joined my team. And I do have a relationship with them. So if you're struggling with that and you don't know what to say, try to come at them with, okay, well, if you don't mind, I've helped someone else before. I know coaches who have helped others save money before. Can I help you? Leave that open-ended. Ask them. Invite yourself in. That's what I have. What about you, Liz?
I love that. I think it shows that you really care and you're invested in their journey. And I think it catches people off guard, which is so cool. What I have found a lot of success in when people tell me that they can't afford a challenge pack or whatever we're talking about in the conversation, I always bring it back to my journey and where I started. I'll be honest and I'll say, when I first signed up for my challenge pack, that was $160. Not only did I almost go negative in my bank account, but it took me some moving around of my budgeting and my priorities to be able to afford that next month of Shakeology. Because a lot of people will say, well, how much is it the month after? And this is when you can say, you know what, if you don't want to pay full price for these, incredible products, there's a way to get a huge discount for them. And if you find along the way that you end up loving them so much that you tell your family and friends, I can help you share them with people. And we can even build off of that. And you can reach out to other women who need your guidance and want to feel the joy you felt from these products. And you can actually make an income. Is that something you'd be open to learning about so we can help you afford something that has changed my life? So reminding them that there are different tools. So not just sitting with them and saying, okay, when can you afford this? But if there's a way for us to regroup your thinking, like maybe you can afford this right now, but you don't realize it yet. And other things, that I share with them is when I first started my journey, I had some really expensive habits and I shopped too much for things I couldn't afford. And like my coffee habit, I would go through the drive-through and get like $5 coffees like before classes. So 5 days a week, I was getting coffee that cost a lot more than Shakeology. But to me, I was like, I can't afford that. Well, sure, I could. I was just choosing to spend my money on other things. And sometimes people need to hear that. They have the money. It's just that it's going toward other things, whether or not it's something like a necessity like rent or electricity or car payment, or maybe a Hulu account or new shoes they don't need or a new Patagonia or Hunter boots. Like there is money in their life, but you just need to help them realize that it could be going to something that really helps them feel great and relating back to your experience and saying, you know what, I didn't think I could afford it either. And then I actually kicked my really sugary coffee habit and found out that my shakes were less than what my coffees were costing me a month. Like, is there a habit that you have going on that maybe we could help you kick and replace with a really great habit, and then you can afford to maintain this? So that would be my biggest piece of advice, is draw from your own experience.
I like that a lot because it makes you so relatable because you've been there and look at where you are now. So I really like that. And another thing that Liz said too, is the discount. This is something that I'm going to be talking about later this week. But every person that you talk to, or every person that is like, yep, I'm ready to join, I want to join, they should all be signing up as a discount coach. So the discount is such a huge thing too, and introducing that to them, saying, listen, you don't have to pay full price when you join me. There is nothing that you have to pay full price for. I'm going to be giving, don't even give them an option by you saying, I'm going to give this to you at 25%. Like, you're going to get 25% off of this. I don't pay full price. You're not going to have to pay for it. That's such a huge thing. So keep that in mind too as you start talking. Did you want to add anything on to that, Liz, or can I go right to our next one? Right to our next one? Okay. Sorry, I don't know why my throat's being this way. Okay. The next one is time. People say all the time, I don't have time. I was listening to a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and it was so funny because one of the things that they were talking about was time. And I thought they were kind of just like making a joke about it because it's like everybody is always so busy, and it's like almost comes down to like who can be busier than who, when in reality you say that you're so busy, but I know that when I say I'm busy, I'm really scrolling on Instagram for a couple of hours. You know what I mean? So time is a huge thing, and this is something that I have made the excuse myself many, many times before. I'm sure we all have. If you are a student and you work, if you are just a student, or if you have a full-time job, or even us, like I know like Liz babysits, like she's a nanny, she nannies. She could easily say she doesn't have time, but I see her show up every day. I work part-time at a tanning salon. I could easily say I don't have time to show up. So I think it's so important to immediately just close them down, like shut that down, and let them know that we have programs that literally go from 10 minutes to an hour. There's such a wide range of things. Like they don't have to commit all of this time to us. So pointing out what we have to offer them is such a huge thing. Be relatable, just like Liz was talking about with the whole, with the money thing. Be relatable. When I was working at the bank, I know that my mornings were just for me. I didn't worry about checking in. I might have posted a story or two because I wanted to, but when I woke up, it was like pre-workout. I got my workout in, I showered, I got ready for work, and then I was showing up for others. So it was always about me first. And I think that's super, super important. Let them know how you make time. Let them know that there's also a group of women that they're going to so easily fall in love with, that time is not even going to become okay, well, if I can make it, it's going to be when you make it. Because I think that is what draws so many people in, is the community. But when they start, it's like they get excited. That's what happened to me. I started and I was like, oh, I don't know how, frequently I'll be checking in. And that was something I looked forward to. So bottom line is this: when it comes to time, be relatable, show them how you show up every day. Ask them what their schedule even looks like, and try to implement times in there for them, and let them know, like, I'm thinking of Transform 20 right off the top of my head because I loved that program. It's 20 minutes a day. 20 minutes. What are you doing right now for 20 minutes that's not helping you on your health journey? Draw that comparison, draw that parallel, and get the time thing out of their head.
I love that. I'm just going to quick piggyback because me and Kaylee are going to go back and forth with what topics we're taking. But in terms of time, everyone has the same 24 hours. Like contrast to money, we don't all have the same amount of money in our bank account, but we each have 24 hours. And whether or not we're showing up for other people and other commitments, you choose to say yes to most of those things. And I want you to remember that you have control over your schedule and remind them that they do too. And if they tell you, like, I'm literally awake and on the move from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., and then by the time I'm home, I'm exhausted. Great. Ask them, could you wake up an hour earlier? Is this something that you'd be willing to put in some work for now so you don't have to do it in the future? Just saying. Okay, so my next thing is, I don't want to run a business, or I don't really want to do sales, or I don't want to come across as salesy. First of all, we're not salespeople. This isn't a sales job. We're not following you around with a clipboard saying, did you make 20 calls today? How are your numbers? Did you reach your quota? Did you go off of everything we're supposed to tell you about your script? Like, this is your business. And if you want us to give you those responsibilities or assignments to motivate you, we can do that. But you have total autonomy with how you lead this journey, whether it's your own journey or others. And so if that means showing up for half an hour a day, awesome. If that means reaching out to 3 girls who follow your profile and like your pictures and just saying, hey girl, thank you for following me. I'm here if you ever feel like, this is something that you'd want to do alongside me. I'm so excited to get to know you. That's not salesy. You're building connections. Me and Kaylee are passionate about relationship building. And if you're an example of that for them, they should be able to know that they can do what you're doing and run a business. And so maybe if they're thinking, I can't be salesy, perhaps you came across as salesy and we need to reverse and think, okay, how am I actually approaching people? Am I giving them the impression that they have to be pushy and salesy? And if you know at the bottom of your heart, you're not being those things, addressing them and saying, look, this isn't a sales position. This is just us sharing what we love. When I go to a restaurant and I eat the most amazing pasta I've ever had, I'm going to tell people I care about that was the best freaking ravioli in the entire world. Because when you love something, you don't hide it. And that's how we feel about Shakeology. That's how we feel about Transform 20 and Shanti, or Autumn and 80 Day Obsession. When things make you feel good and they change your life, you don't keep them to yourself. You go out and you try to change the world with them. That's what we do. We share. We don't sell.
And one thing that I just want to add to that, because that is what the bottom line is we share. Like, we're not salesmen. We don't sell anything. But even again, telling people, one thing that I want to start working on myself is having like client or challenger testimonies. Because I think that's so big when you can have somebody that can really vouch for you and say, yeah, like, this is where I was, even if it's just like a small little blurb over text message, something that you can actually save and have physical proof, and say, that person can say, yeah, like, Liz really helped me with this. This is where I was and this is where I am now. I think that's huge. That opens people's eyes to how real this really is. And it opens people's eyes to the fact that we share, we don't sell, but we also change lives. And I think that so many Beachbody coaches always say that, right? Like, we can look at everyone's stories and we look on their Instagram and their social media, whatever, and they're like, changing lives, changing lives. What does that really mean? Like, what does that look like? What does that really mean? I'm thinking of somebody in particular that when I first met her, told me that she could not have children because she just wasn't healthy enough to. But I'm watching her every day get healthy enough so her body can carry a baby and she can start a family. So I think things like that really hit home for people. And I think that you shouldn't be afraid to share that, or to even ask your girls to share something like that with you. One of my favorite topics I'm going to be talking about is the whole, I don't have the results. I'm not where I want to be. I need to focus on my own journey first. That was me. Like, that was so me when I started this. When I started with Beachbody, I started for the discount and I started for myself. I started because I knew that I was just in a really, really bad, ugly, deep, dark place that I needed to get out of. And I didn't know what that looked like, but I knew that every Beachbody coach that I followed was just so happy, and that's what I wanted. I was drawn to the light that they provided. And so when I joined, it was solely for myself. Then when I started getting into the business aspect of things and helping other people change their lives, and I had a couple of girls under me, I was like, okay, like, what do I do now? Because I'm nowhere. I don't have an amazing transformation picture yet. I don't know what eating looks like yet. Like sometimes I'm eating bags of Starburst jelly beans, but other times I'm eating bowls of broccoli. Like, but I don't have, it just comes down to your own limited beliefs and not believing that you're really worthy enough because you don't have something or you don't have that proof to give. So when people say, you know, I'm nowhere where I want to be, that is more inspiring than somebody who looks picture perfect. I'm telling you that right now. And I'm going to tell you this not because I'm bragging about it, but because I'm proud of it. And when I do have low moments, because we all have low moments, I go back and I read these messages. And I don't take these lightly. I never will. I take them to heart. I save them and I screenshot them. And they're in a place that I can easily find them for when I feel like I'm not worthy enough to lead somebody because I don't have good results. And my change, my body is changing very slowly, but I know how good I feel. I read the messages of people saying, thank you for being so real. Thank you for being so raw. Thank you for not being somebody who looks picture perfect. Thank you for going live with your journey, letting us be part of that. And not to hate on anybody because we are all beautiful and different and our bodies are all so different and people have worked so hard. That's not to knock anybody, but you don't have to have a strong transformation because I think that just by you starting can inspire somebody else. And I think it's important to point out to your potential challenger or coach that by them starting, they're going to be able to, you know, get other moms, get other people who struggle with obesity, get other people who struggle with diabetes or high blood pressure. They have somebody that they can tell their story to, and people are going to be so inspired and uplifted by that. So I think when you get hit with the whole, you know, I just want to focus on myself first, or I don't have really good before and after pictures, I don't have anything to give, remind them how much they are worth and how much they really do have to give because they found you. Does that make sense? Remind them of that.
I love that. I always think about, you know, someone's going to respect you so much more as a leader when you're also their friend and you're in it with them. And when they see you putting in the work and getting to celebrate your successes with their successes, it's a lot more comforting, I think, for their journey too. And it will encourage them to be real with you because they're like, she gets it. She's where I'm at, or she's not too far from where I am right now. So I totally love that perspective, Keely. So I'm going to quick talk about when someone says to you, you know, I actually already did a challenge group, or I signed up with a different coach and it just wasn't for me, or maybe they signed up as a coach, maybe they signed up as a challenger, but long story short, they've got a sour taste in their mouth, something that Beachbody, you know, whatever experience they had. The first thing I do when I hear someone tell me that is apologize. And it's not because this is your problem, but by making it your problem, you show that you care so much. Because for me, I immediately feel the need to say, I'm so sorry that was your experience, because mine has not been anything like that. And I can't imagine not being absolutely supported in this journey. So if someone says, you know, I signed up with so-and-so, but I quit because I didn't feel like I had the mentorship I needed, I'll tell them, oh my God, I wish that you had found me sooner, or I had found you sooner, because I have felt so uplifted and I'm so in touch with every single person in my upline that it's kind of insane that they make the time for me. Like, I feel so valued on this team. And reminding them that not everyone's team is going to be that negative, destructive, or exclusive experience or setting, and that you have something super special to offer them. And by saying, you know, I completely get if you are so closed off to the idea of another challenge group. You know, if your coach stopped showing up or stopped posting, or, you know, said something negative to you or made you feel bad about this or that. But I promise you, if you do trust me and try to give this another chance, I'll make sure that this is the most positive experience you've ever had, because that's what you deserve. And you were so brave in taking that first step. And the fact that someone didn't meet you there with that equal devotion is sad. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but I promise you won't have to go through it again. That's the approach that I take.
I really like that a lot because I basically do the same thing. We're very similar in that. Another thing that I ask them too is, well, what happened? Like, if you don't mind me asking, like, what happened? Share your story with me, because whatever they were turned off by the first time or whatever happened the first time, I don't want to duplicate that. I don't want to be the person to say, you know, like, let me prove you wrong. And then, the same thing happens. And honestly, if you ask that question, you're going to be so shocked by your answers. Sometimes it was they thought that this was going to be something totally different. Like maybe they needed daily accountability, not just in the post, but from you. Maybe they needed to hear from you every day, which we know, might be a little excessive at first, but if that's what they need to get their feet wet and to feel comfortable about then taking that and turning that into posting in the group, I think is huge too. And it can be spun so many different ways, but I do exactly what Liz does. It works amazing. And I tagline that with the whole, well, tell me what happened, explain the story, because I don't want that to happen to you again. I'm going to be talking about something I feel like I've heard a lot. I'm already doing something. I already have a fitness regimen. I'm already doing, what I've heard a lot is the keto diet. I'm already doing the keto diet and I've lost tons of weight and I'm already doing. And I'm like, okay, like, honestly, I am the kind of person, like, if you tell me something, I'm like, all right, well, let me see it. Like, that's just who I am. If you told me that you met Beyonce last week, you'd be like, let me see the proof. Like, where's the pictures? Like, was she amazing? Was she really glowing? Whatever. So someone's like, okay, well, I'm already on the keto diet. Okay, cool, sis. Like, how's that going for you? How much weight have you lost? Are you really just eating things that are like keto diet approved? Or are you actually living a life where you get to eat whatever the hell you want? Because I eat whatever I want. Like, yeah, I have these colored containers that have helped me greatly, but it's so much food and I really do eat whatever I want in moderation. I'm still getting results. Or if they say that they're already going to the gym. Okay, cool. Like, what gym do you go to? Planet Fitness? When was the last time that you went? I paid for a year membership and I have not even stepped foot. Like, when was that? Ask them, call them out. Sometimes I feel like you have to be able to give a little bit of tough love, and you kind of have to be able, like, don't be afraid to call people out or to be like, okay, like, tell me, show me. What does that look like? Because they might be hiding behind something. If you think about it, so when I approached Amy, who is my upline, I approached her about joining Beachbody. But I have been approached by Beachbody coaches before I even joined Amy. And I was hiding behind something. I've already tried Weight Watchers. I've already tried, the waist trainer belts, which did not work. Like, I've tried so many different things. So I was like, no, like, I was just very closed off. So I would say, oh no, like I'm doing something else, but thanks anyway. And a lot of people just, okay. And they keep it moving. So show that you care. Like, what is it that they're doing? And how can you help them a little bit further? They're going to the gym. Are you going with somebody? No. Okay, cool. Because instead of getting in the car every morning and taking yourself to the gym, I pretty much do a little bit more than what you do. And I have 30 plus women supporting me. I'm already eating keto. Okay, cool. How is that? How much weight have you lost? Is that something that's working out for your budget, for your family's meal plan? Because I know that if I was eating keto, my husband would look at me like I'm crazy because he probably wouldn't eat that with me. But I know that my 21-day fix recipes are amazing and he likes that too. Can I help you with working out? Sometimes it's just taking what they're already doing and then telling them what we do so they can kind of draw their own parallel. If they're doing keto, perfect. I have a coach on my team who is eating the keto diet. She likes it, whatever. It works for her. We've had this conversation before. Something that works for her doesn't work for me. That's okay. But she still does all of our Beachbody programs. Cool. Or maybe somebody already has, like, I've also had people in the past who were like, oh, well, I'm weightlifting right now. Okay, cool. We also have Lift 4. Do you have cardio days? Because I have cardio for you. What is they're giving you the puzzle. So it's kind of your responsibility to figure out where you can give them that missing puzzle piece. What is it? And how can you do that? So bottom line to that is if they're already doing something, don't be afraid to have a conversation. I feel like sometimes we're so worried about bringing it back to Beachbody and, oh, but we do this, we do this. Yeah, you should do that. But have a conversation with them like they're your friend and like they're a real person. Because they're going to get comfortable and eventually they're going to be like, wow, I keep seeing your Zoom links and you work out with so many people. I'm by myself. How can I do that?
I love that so much. I have nothing to add on to that part. So I get to talk about being a student and running this business. And when people shut me down right away, they're like, actually, like, my semester is crazy. I'm sorry, the timing's really not right for me. I am not afraid to come back and say, I actually started my business my senior year of college while I was finishing my bachelor's. I actually had a full-time course load. I had a nanny job 3 times a week. I waitressed on every single weekend. I actually took care of my dog full-time by myself. and I made time for team calls and stuff. I found, and this is where I share my experience, I found that when I make time for myself and I gave myself those 30 minutes of workouts every single day, I actually had a lot more me to give to all other areas of my life. My grades were the best they ever were, and I'll tell them my GPA was the highest it was the semester I started Beachbody. Whether that's because I was eating really well and my energy and my mental clarity was there, or my goals were higher because, I was pushing myself for, I wanted to have a challenge group and be accountable with my girls that way, or I wanted to finish a fitness program, and every other area of your life kind of levels up. But when they say that they're a student, don't just back off and say, oh, I totally understand. Like, do you want to talk like on your Christmas break, or like, when do you graduate? No, remind them that they can do it. And remember this quote: for them and for you, whenever you make excuses, there are people busier than you that are making time for these things. Across the board, whether that's your workout, whether that's your PD routine, whether that's plugging in for your power hour, there are people that are busier than you that are making time for these things, and it's a matter of priorities. And I'll say, like, as a student, it actually benefited me when I started to add more discipline to my routine, because I would stay up so late working on the same paper, and I realized that when I started eating better, I was able to focus and get that paper done in an hour that usually took me 2.5 or 3. I was able to have a better sleep pattern because I felt healthier, and your sleep is something that's regulated with exercise and diet. So I had more energy the following morning to get up and work out again. And so just reminding them that you might be a student, but you're also going to benefit so much from being balanced. And, at this point in their life, when are they ever going to find a time where life slows down for this to make sense for them? And reminding people that it's not always going to be this crazy busy, but if you're able to make a choice for yourself now and get in that routine now, it's going to be a lot easier than when I have a full-time job and when I'm exhausted from that, or when I have 3 kids, or when I have this and this and this and this. Remind them that they matter, and making time for themselves is so valuable right now, no matter what their situation is. And if it's something that matters to them, you will help them figure out a way.
I like that a lot, because I know I keep saying that, but I really do. And this all resonates with me. And this is just such a good refresher, especially like with me, because like I said, like Liz and I really do hear these excuses too. Like, it's not just you guys, like we all hear these. I live super, super close to University of Delaware. It's like a huge party school. And what cracks me up is how jealous I get when I see these girls who look super, super fit and super, super in shape, and they're walking down the street with their yoga mats, and there's like a group of them, like 3 or 4 of them. So think about that. Like, sometimes I wish like I could still be a student, because I found Beachbody while I was in college. I literally would have started, then I would have helped the girls like on my floor. Like, think about the girls on your floor that you can start inviting to come join you, or to sample your pre or your shakes. And not only are you starting to build a business and build your girl tribe, but you're doing it with them. Like, I just think that's really cool, like to be able to do that with them and to get everybody together to do something like that. Like, that's awesome. Like, you could be the person that actually starts changing like what your dorm or your campus looks like. Just wanted to add that in there. My next one is about work. I already have a job. Okay, well, so did I. Like, I get it. I think that the job kind of goes with time to me. If they're saying I already have a job, I'm already doing something. Okay, like, do you like your job? Because I didn't. Like, I know that I just showed up at my job because that's something that made me money, but I didn't like it. I worked at a bank. I was there for almost 3 years, and it just ended really, really badly for me. It gave me a lot of anxiety. It was a burden. And I knew that when I came in to work out in my office, I was on such a high, felt so good about myself. But then the thought of going back to a corporate job and having to ask for time off, or having to, ask if I could take a longer lunch break so I could get my oil changed, or I had to do something, having to ask my boss something, and working in corporate just didn't resonate with me. It's not what filled my cup, and it made me very anxious. So ask them, what do you do? Do you like your job? Can you picture a world where you actually get to wake up at whatever given time you want? And of course, we all know that there's some kind of discipline, right? But paint that picture for them. People need to see what the vision is. They need to see what that picture looks like. Can you imagine waking up and having a slow morning and drinking your coffee and making a shake and working out? Like, can you imagine being your own boss? Can you imagine actually making the same money, if not more money, doing something that you are passionate about? Could this be something that you're passionate about? And share with them what has made you so passionate. Why do you love this business so much? People always want to know what's in it for them. Like, what is the benefit? What is in it for them? So draw that parallel, paint that picture, make that the vision. Let them know that, yeah, I, am a full-time student, or I have a full-time job too. Here's how I make it work. If you need some accountability, I'm already on your side. And I've got 5 other girls at least that are going to be on the same side with you. So let us help you. I think that by opening your arms and letting them know that you have other people that are just like them, you are just like them, you're doing it or you've done it, you're making yourself so relatable that it's going to be really tough for them to say no. They're not going to have a good comeback for that one.
I love that. And I mean, you want to have great conversations, but at the same time, there's an element of power when you know how to come back from objections and kind of disabling whatever comeback they had and reminding them, no, I see through your excuses. That's not a real reason. We're going to work through this. Stop saying no to yourself and say yes for once. I just want to, whatever. But the last one we're going to talk about is, I don't have a big enough following on social media, or I don't post enough right now, or I don't know how to run a business on Instagram or Facebook, however you want to go about it. And this is when you say, you don't need to. You don't. I personally had my Instagram when I first started was my personal account, and I had maybe 1,200 people on there that followed me. And then I decided I didn't want my high school and college friends to creep on me, men included. And I was like, I'm going to make a new one. So I did. Liz Cirilli Fitness. You can find me. It's still the same one that I started a year and a half ago. I started at 0 followers. You know how nerve-wracking 0 is? You think, oh, I only have 250. That's more than 0. Like, you start from somewhere, and it's because you've got good intentions. And I think that when you focus more on the content and the value and sharing a story, you kind of put up your blinders to how many people are following me or liking my posts. No, like, are you sharing authentically your story? And can you confidently say that, my sweaty selfie this morning motivated whoever saw it because they know I'm not a morning person, but I showed up at 5 a.m. today. Could you have impacted one person today by sharing your story? And we'll show you that you don't need to have so many followers, but as your following does grow, making that not your audience, but your community by being so real and by being you, because you're going to gain those people's trust over time, and they'll become your challengers, they'll become your coaches, or they'll become your cheerleaders until they're ready to jump on board with you. But that's going to be such a positive space for you that you won't see it as a negative that you don't have a ton of people. You're going to see it as, holy crap, I have 100 people that cheer me on every single day. That's amazing. I should be so proud of that. And then it's only going to grow as you continue to show up for yourself, because it's about consistency. When it comes to building a following and being tactical or using hashtags and blah, 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 we give you trainings. We're never going to leave you in the dark. We're going to empower you with every single training we have, and reminding the people, the prospects you have talking about coaching, that you will plug them into every single training you have at your fingertips. And if they see you doing something and think, I can't do that, remind them, someone taught me how to do that before I knew what I was doing. I did not walk into this business knowing how to post good content for a fitness journey. I was posting selfies with country song lyrics, people. How is that supposed to build a business? It wasn't. I started from scratch. They see where you're at now and compare it to their now. You need to remind them that you started where they started. And that goes for all of these objections across the board, I think, is reminding them that everyone starts at the beginning.
I have nothing to add to that, Liz, because that was so good. Seriously. Social media is something that I was petrified of. But you're so right, like through the trainings and through even just talking with each other, that has really helped me figure out what it should look like, how it should be. So I have nothing to say. That was perfect. I think that was really great. And I hope that these, by us talking about this and just tearing, we're doing this on the fly. Like we have subjects to talk about, but we didn't prepare anything. This is us. Like this is how we overcome these objections. And I think that after you start getting a couple of objections and you start putting yourself out there, you're going to get more comfortable and you're going to be able to think like this. It's not going to be something that stuns you and you're like, okay, what do I say to that? You're not going to be so afraid of it because you're going to know what to say. And I think that just comes, with time, unfortunately, and with hearing so many of them, that you're going to be able to start overcoming them. But I hope that this little training was helpful for you in the sense of you're going to take what we said and you're going to use it and you're going to, you're going to grow from it. You're going to make it your own. And, hopefully, not saying it's going to help every single objection that you hear, but hopefully the no's become fewer and fewer because you're going to start building actual relationships and letting people know that you did it, this person's doing it, and they can do it too.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And if there's something that you hear often that you didn't choose to share with us, feel free to reach out again and we'll try to provide you with experience if we've got it. Or, my friend, be a figure outer. Look that crap up on YouTube. Look it up on Google. You are a capable woman. You are a CEO of your business. If there's something you want to know how to do, go learn how to do it. I know that you can do it. There's so much out there, and we're only one of the billions of resources that you can use to grow in this journey. So, are we good, Kaylee? We good?
I think we're good.
Have a good Monday, guys.
Bye, guys.